All right, I am going to get into my new 2026 NFL mock draft. The underclassmen declaration deadline has passed for all players except for Indiana and Miami guys since they're in the national championship. So underclassmen for those teams will have an extended deadline here. But now that that has passed, thought it'd be a good time to do a mock draft. And the player to watch was Dante Moore. And big development, he decided to stay at Oregon, reportedly making over $7 million. He said, deuces, Jets, I will chase a national championship one more time and go back to school. So that certainly throws a wrinkle into this draft because now Fernando Mendoza is the clear top quarterback. He probably was anyway, but now there's no debate. And there's not really a clear second guy. So what does that mean? The Raiders' number one pick is incredibly valuable. Incredibly valuable. And if you're a team like the Giants who had a chance to get this and you like the QB you have in place, think about how much you could have gotten for that pick because the Raiders probably are going to end up taking Mendoza, but I do wonder how big some of these offers could get in an offseason where there's not a good quarterback supply-demand ratio in terms of teams filling up that position. So I would guess the Raiders draft Mendoza. You guys let me know. What should the Raiders do? Type D for draft Mendoza or type T for trade the pick for a haul. You got to at least answer the calls if you're John Spytek. But I always say this, if you love a QB prospect and you have a chance to take him, you do need to draft him. But if there's any doubt, get 3 future firsts. That's appealing. In this mock draft, I am not going to trade down. And in fact, I'm not going to do any trades in this mock draft. Mendoza to Vegas, I think that's going to be the favorite until proven otherwise. I mean, what a season he's had. What a season Indiana's had. They're 1 win away from a national championship. Just an absolutely awesome story. He's awesome, man. I don't know how high the ceiling is, but he's accurate. He makes good decisions. He seems to progress at least 1 to 2. I don't know if he's a 3-4 full field reads guy just yet, but not many college QBs are coming out these days. If you can at least get to number 2 consistently, which I feel like he does, that works if you're mobile enough. And I think he's mobile enough. Again, is he a top 5 QB in the NFL ceiling guy? Probably not, but is there a world where he's a top 10 guy, top 12? I think that's possible. And if it is, that's worthy of a number 1 pick, especially in a draft that is not QB rich. So Mendoza to Vegas. Caleb Downs to the Jets. Unfortunately for the Jets, this trading down from this pick doesn't have much value at this point. So take the best player available, Caleb Downs. Their defense needs a complete overhaul. They had 0 interceptions this year. Something tells me Caleb Downs can get him at least 1. Okay, Jeremiyah Love to the Cardinals. Listen, running back at 3, you better be elite right away, but this draft, it's more of like a good players, not superstar draft. Kind of like last year, but maybe even weaker from a star player standpoint. I think Jeremiyah Love's a star. I think he can be a top 10 running back right away. Again, you're hoping he's like a top 5 guy right away if you're taking him this high. But if you're Arizona and you can't get a QB here, maybe you get like a Malik Willis in the offseason and just create a really strong running game. Jeremiyah Love could be your starter. You get James Conner back from injury. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch. I like that fit. Jordyn Tyson to Tennessee. I thought about going O-line here, but I think you got to get Cam Ward, another weapon. Calvin Ridley's future is very much up in the air. They need receivers. They need O-line as well, but out of the receiver O-linemen available, I think Tyson's the best among that group, so the Arizona State receiver goes to Nashville. Speaking of offensive line, I'm going to go Francis Mauigoa for the Giants. They could re-sign. I'm totally blanking on their right tackle. Golly. Jermaine Illuminor, thank you, producer Colin. They could re-sign him, but he might command like $15 million a year. Mauigoa is a mauler in the run game. Now, pass pro might take him a year to kind of get up to speed in the NFL, but he's great in the run game. John Harbaugh, Todd Monken probably follows him as well. They're going to want to run the football. So run behind this guy. Watch Miami, Indiana in the national championship. They're going to run behind Mauigoa quite a bit. Okay, Arvell Reese. I thought down the stretch, he kind of underwhelmed, if I'm being honest. I know he kind of became a draft darling this year, and in a weaker draft, look, he's an athletic freak. He can play off ball. You can put him at edge rusher, but I just worry that this is like a better Isaiah Simmons situation where you'll figure it out later. I don't know, man. Like that makes me nervous. But in a weaker draft, he's going to go high. Cleveland, Ohio State, it's local, so don't mind it. You can learn from a guy like Myles Garrett, but I think you need a plan for him. You don't want to kind of just draft him and then figure it out later. Okay, Rueben, Bain, probably lower ceiling but higher floor than a guy like Arvell, Reese. Seems like every mock I'm just drafting a pass rusher for Washington. They just got to get after the quarterback. He's got some position flex. He could play some 3-tech. You could put him on the edge. His arms are going to be shorter, but he's very powerful. He's bendy, good player. I think he's worthy of a top 10 pick. All right, not Ohio State, they're out because Miami knocked him out. Miami, Indiana National Championship. Who you got winning? I'm rolling with the who's yours? But that Miami defense led by Rueben, Bain, and Messidor could make things interesting. I know he got banged up in the last game. We'll see if he plays. But Miami, Indiana, who do you got winning? Okay, another Buckeye. Carnell, Tate to New Orleans. Listen, you probably need more help on defense, but I don't love the defensive board at this point. You could go David Bailey, but listen, Tyler Shuck showed a lot of promising signs. Get him another weapon. Like, I'm leaning into Tyler Shuck if I'm the Saints this offseason. Pair him with Chris Olave, the Buckeye brothers. I like that pairing quite a bit. Speaking of David Bailey, if you're a Chiefs fan, you should be thrilled with this. If you can get David Bailey out of Texas Tech, that defensive line needs some juice. George Karlaftis is more of a powerful rusher. Well, I like blending that with a speed rusher, and David Bailey is that. He's a little undersized, but he can get after the quarterback. He can turn the corner in a hurry. So I think he's one of the better players in this draft. We'll see if they keep Chris Jones for another year, but that defensive line needs some pass rush ability. Okay, the Bengals going to go Jermod, McCoy. Had he played this year, could be a top 5 pick. I think he'll be able to do a lot of the pre-draft workouts, though. That ACL should be healed by the combine, or at least for a pro day in March. So we'll obviously keep tabs on that. The medicals will be critical, but if he's healthy, he's a really good corner. Dolphins at 11. I'm going to go Makai Lemon. They could go a lot of different directions here. They could go defense. They could add another offensive lineman. They need a quarterback, obviously, but I don't think there's anyone worthy of taking here at 11. They're likely going to cut Tyreek Hill, so get Makai Lemon in there. Pair him with Jalen Waddle. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch. 3 receivers in the top 11 of this mock. Jordyn Tyson, who missed a few games with injury. That's the one knock on him. The last couple of years, he's been banged up, so that's certainly going to be something to watch in the draft process. Carnell, Tate, who's kind of that big boundary receiver, lanky player, and then Makai Lemon, who I think you put in the slot and you use him like in Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's kind of a pick your poison. Who do you want? What type of player do you want? They all have different strengths and weaknesses. Sonny Styles, the off-ball linebacker for the Cowboys. He continues to shoot up boards. They just need defense, and if Overshown can get healthy, I love pairing Styles with him. Kenneth Murray ain't it, and Logan Wilson's over the hill, so Sonny Styles, I think, would just give them some young speed and energy at that off-ball linebacker position. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. The best daily fantasy sports app out there is Prize Picks, and whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. New feature alert. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. You pick more or less on stat projections, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, baseball. You got season-long projections already available. Crossover sports in your lineup if you want. You just pick 2 or more players up to 6, take more or less on their projected stats. Give me more on Caleb Williams pass yards, Colston Lovin receiving yards, and Puka Nacua half a touchdown. I like him to score. $20 entry to win $85. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in the lineups once you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups once you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. All right, Rams at 13. Spencer Fano, you could argue, is the best offensive tackle in this draft. Probably a better pass protector than Mauigoa, but I just love how physical Mauigoa is in the run game. So, again, kind of a pick your poison thing like we talked about with the receivers just a minute ago. But that Rams offensive line has been spotty at times this year. I think Fano's a plug-and-play starter. Peter Woods, we still don't know what's going to happen with Nnamdi Madubuike. Is his career in jeopardy at defensive tackle? I think adding someone on that defensive line makes sense in the middle for Baltimore. All right, Keldric, Faulk, really good in physical edge setting or edge setter in the run game. Kind of spotty as a pass rusher, hit and miss, but big physical player. The Bucks historically have had those kind of speed rushers, so he could give them more size. You could kick him inside on some passing downs. Versatile piece for Todd Bowles' defense. Mansoor Delane goes 16th to the Jets. This pick via the Colts due to the Sauce Gardner trade. Well, how do you replace Sauce Gardner? Just draft a corner. Mansoor Delane. There you go. All right, I think left tackle is a position to watch for Detroit. Taylor Decker's getting up there. He could be gone this year, or maybe he's got one more year. Guy like Caden Proctor could play guard, could play tackle. He could be a swing guy for a year, then you start him the next year. Big physical presence who can really move. Needs some refining, but the upside is massive. The Lions need to be better up front than they were this year. Kenyon Sadiq to the Vikings at 18. TJ Hawkinson's a prime cut candidate, so drafting a guy like Sadiq to replace him makes sense. Unclear what they're going to do at quarterback. J.J. McCarthy will be in the mix, but had numerous injuries this year. Kevin O'Connell said they'll bring in some competition at minimum. Also, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, their general manager, was very non-committal on if McCarthy will start. So we'll see what they do at QB, but getting one at 18 probably doesn't make a ton of sense. All right, if you guys want more draft videos, hit that subscribe button. It's the offseason for a lot of teams, so our draft free agency coverage is going to ramp up here. Haven't done much free agent content yet, so we might throw some kind of video on that up on the channel pretty soon, so be on the lookout. But if you want more draft videos, specifically mock drafts, draft rumors, etc., go ahead and subscribe. All right, Cashius Howell, who I really like as a pass rusher. He's going to have some limitations against the run, undersized, can kind of get anchored pretty easily in the run game. But Carolina needs pass rushers, man. They just are not good off the edge, and Howell can provide some of that. Another defensive player for Dallas, Avion Terrell. Probably more, I think his best position in the NFL will be nickel, which the Cowboys need, but obviously they moved on from Trayvon Diggs. They have Deron Bland, who's going to be one of their outside corners, so bring in Terrell. You can try him on the outside, but if not, you can always kick him inside as well. All right, here we go. Curveball. Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback out of Ole Miss, is going to go to the Steelers at 21 overall. What a story, what a year for the Ferris State transfer. Put on a show this year. Obviously got Ole Miss to the semifinals of the college football playoff. Maybe the most fun player to watch in the country this year. Like, in terms of just entertainment value, I had more fun watching Chambliss than Mendoza. Obviously, Mendoza is a better pro prospect right now. Now, Chambliss is still trying to get a sixth year of eligibility. His initial appeal was denied, but he's lawyered up. They're doing a lawsuit with the NCAA, so we'll see what happens here. But in a QB week draft, listen, he's got a big arm for his size. He can move around. I'm very curious to see what he measures in at. Is he 6 foot or is he like 5'10"? Because that's a big difference to me. If he's 5'10", he probably profiles as a worse Kyler Murray because he's not as athletic as Kyler, probably doesn't have as strong of an arm, but big arm, definitely athletic. Now, if he's 6 foot, okay, like you can work with that some. You could throw over the middle a little bit at that size, but he's got a big arm. He's kind of a gunslinger. He's confident, played well in the playoffs, so I could see a team taking a chance on him in the first round. I think it would obviously depend who's Pittsburgh's head coach, what is their identity, but clearly they do not have a long-term answer at quarterback, so Trinidad Chambliss, I'll take a chance here at 21. Who do you guys think is QB2 in this draft after Fernando Mendoza? Again, no Dante Moore. Is it Ty Simpson? Is it Chambliss if he doesn't win his waiver? Then after that, you're talking about like the Garrett Nussmeyers, the Drew Allers of the world. I mean, it's pretty brutal. So again, it only takes one team to be like, you know what? That guy's got a big arm. He can move. I'll take him in the 20s, even though a guy like Chambliss should probably go on day 2. All right, Vega Ioane, the guard. Ioane. I'll get it right one of these weeks. Ioane, the guard out of Penn State, best interior offensive lineman in this draft. I think the Chargers will get at least one of their tackles back next year. If they get both, even better. I think this offseason is about really going all in on Justin Herbert, and then he's got to prove it in the playoffs, man. He kind of gets another excuse here for how bad the O-line was, but he also played poorly. Get those tackles back, beef up the interior, new offensive coordinator. It's now or never for Justin Herbert. Caleb Lomu, the other tackle out of Utah. Philadelphia struggled up front this year. Jordan Mailata did not have a good year at left tackle. What's his name is year to year at right tackle at this point in time. Lane Johnson, thank you very much. Landon Dickerson was banged up on the interior. I think you just have to make an investment in an offensive lineman early in this draft if you're Philadelphia, even if it's not a day one starter. So Lomu can play either side at tackle. Maybe he's your swing guy for a year, then takes over in 27. Okay, Denzel Boston to the Browns. They need a playmaker. And, you could have gone receiver at 6, but Tyson was already gone. I ended up not going in that direction. But Boston, I think, is a first-round talent, put up big numbers at Washington, can play multiple receiver spots, has good size, good speed. I like that fit. Again, kind of like the Dolphins. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be, but, that'll be figured out elsewhere. The Bears at 25. C.J. Allen, keep an eye on off-ball linebacker. TJ Edwards just had a nasty fibula injury. He's already closer probably to the end of his career than the beginning. He's almost 30 now. Tremaine Edmonds is a potential cut candidate for Chicago, so they might just want to infuse that linebacker position with youth and speed. CJ Allen kind of flies around. Now, he'll miss some tackles, but if he can get refined a little bit, get some NFL coaching, I think he's a first-round talent in this draft, and the Bears could go linebacker here. TJ Parker, the edge out of Clemson, goes to the Bills at number 26 overall. Did not have a great year, but the upside is still there. His first 2 years at Clemson were excellent. In a weaker draft, I think he's worth a first-round pick. The Indiana receiver Elijah Surratt goes to San Francisco. I would rather go offensive line here, but Shanahan tends to value skill guys more. They're going to cut Brandon Ayuk or maybe trade him. I doubt a team trades for him, but he'll be gone after this season. Ricky Pearsall has struggled to stay healthy. They're playing guys like DeMarcus Robinson and whatnot. So, bringing in a Surratt or, a Casey Concepcion could make a lot of sense. Monroe Freeling has been moving up draft boards. The Georgia offensive tackle played on the right side a lot, but can play both sides in the NFL, in my opinion. And the Texans' O-line is still a weakness. Played better than expected this year, but I think they need another tackle. Okay, Ty Simpson at 29. I am not a big Ty Simpson guy. If all things are equal, based on what we know right now, again, the measurables could change this for me. I would take the swing on Chambliss over Simpson. I think his arm's bigger than Simpson's. He's a better athlete, but I like this fit. If you can get Stafford to play another year, bring in Ty Simpson, who only started 15 collegiate games, learn for a year or two, get the McVay coaching, see how Stafford plays, and obviously learn how to be a pro, and then maybe Simpson's got a shot to be a franchise quarterback. Patriots at 30 take Akeem Messidor. He's going to be 25 next year, older prospect, but really good pass rusher and one of the best in college football this year. Again, weaker draft. A guy like this might go in the first round despite his age. Broncos go Colton Hood at 31. Corner's not a major need, but you could bring in competition for a guy like Riley Moss. You could, move him to nickel. Obviously, you got to depend on, or you got to see what you're going to do at some of those other DB spots. They have a lot of versatile pieces on the back end, but outside corner opposite of Pat Surtain could be a position they look to increase competition at. Lastly, Chris Bell to the Seahawks, the Louisville receiver. Good size, good production for Louisville. I like the fit as an outside receiver with JSN as their top guy. They got their burner and Rashid Shaheed. I thought about Concepcion here, but I think there's a lot of overlap in his game and Shaheed's. They both are good on special teams. They're both kind of slot receivers who can burn. Shaheed's going to obviously play some outside as well. Chris Bell, more of that physical outside receiver. I think just from an X's and O's standpoint, he checks a box that Seattle does not really have on that offense. All right, there you go. My latest mock draft after Dante Moore decided to go back to school. Keep an eye on the Trinidad Chambliss situation. We'll drop another mock probably the week after the national championship or something like that. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys soon.